The launch day of the new ship had finally arrived, and everyone at the Terran Space Center felt a quiet excitement in the air. Engineers moved with focused energy, screens glowed in the dim control room, and the wide observation windows showed the massive silver-blue vessel resting on its platform. The ship was called the Etherion, humanity's most advanced exploration craft. People from every department kept saying the same thing. There had never been anything like it before. The design was smooth, almost alive in shape, with curved metallic plates that reflected light in soft waves. It looked less like something built by hands and more like something grown with purpose. Captain Elena Maris stood near the large window with her hands behind her back, watching the ship carefully. She didn't smile often, but her eyes held a spark that the others recognized. She had spent her entire adult life dreaming of the moment when humanity would finally reach beyond the familiar stars. The Etherion was her chance to bring that dream into reality. She had been chosen not because she stood out in rank, but because she understood responsibility more deeply than most. She believed exploration meant respect, patience, and awareness. She believed in moving with intention. Her crew was small, only 12 people, but carefully selected. Among them was Lieutenant Ravi Singh, a systems specialist known for noticing small patterns most people missed. He walked up to Elena now, carrying a tablet filled with pre-launch diagnostics. His dark hair fell into his eyes, and he brushed it away without looking up from the tablet. "All systems say we're stable," he reported softly. "AI support is active. Navigation cores are online. The predictive interface is working exactly as expected." Elena nodded. "And the integration module?" Ravi hesitated, his eyebrow lifting with the slightest confusion. "Still quiet. No activity except baseline energy flow." "That's fine," Elena replied. She tried to sound normal, but something in her voice carried a quiet tension. The integration module was the most mysterious part of the ship. It was a sealed system built using a mixture of human engineering and strange materials discovered on an old research station many years ago. No one fully understood how the materials worked, only that they improved energy distribution and system efficiency beyond anything scientists could explain. Some people joked that the ship had a heartbeat. Elena never laughed at those jokes, not because she believed them, but because she respected what they didn't understand. As the countdown continued, the crew boarded the ship one by one. The interior felt more like a peaceful lab than a flight deck. Every surface was soft to the eye and smooth to the touch, with lights that adjusted gently as people walked past. It felt welcoming, almost thoughtful, as if it knew how to make humans feel safe. Elena stepped into the command room, breathing slowly as she took in everything she had trained for. Chairs shaped to fit each crew member's body waited at their stations. The main window spread across half the room, showing the world outside like a floating painting. The control panels glowed softly, waiting for the first human touch. "Everyone in position," she said calmly, and the crew slid into their chairs with quiet excitement. Ravi sat at the system's console and immediately began running a standard test. The screens shifted as his hands moved across the controls. "Everything's stable," he repeated. "All preliminary checks complete." Elena nodded again. She always liked hearing things more than once. "Good. Prepare for manual ignition." The crew moved with practiced coordination, and the room fell into a focused silence. But before Elena could give the order, something happened. A soft vibration moved through the floor. It was gentle, like the hum of a distant instrument, but clear enough that every person in the room felt it. They looked around, expecting a warning light or alarm. Nothing appeared. The screens remained calm. The lights stayed steady. Then the ship moved. It started slowly, almost politely. The Etherion lifted from the platform a few centimeters, just enough for the crew to feel their stomachs shift. No one had touched the ignition system. No one had pressed a single button. Elena shot a sharp glance at Ravi. "Report." Ravi's hands flew across the console. His eyes widened behind his glasses. "Captain, there's no input registered. The engines activated themselves." "That's impossible," said Dr. Imani Solara, the ship's medical officer, her voice filled with controlled surprise. She unfastened her seat just slightly, as if preparing to stand. The engines cannot run without a command sequence. They are, Ravi said quietly. I don't understand how. The vibration deepened, still gentle but unmistakably intentional. The ship rose higher, leaving the platform behind. Outside the window, the ground shrank, and the launch center became a cluster of tiny structures. A few people below had noticed, and were pointing upward, their faces tilted in surprise. Elena kept her voice steady. Everyone stay calm and stay seated. Ravi, attempt to interrupt engine flow. Ravi pressed several commands. Nothing responded. The ship ignored the manual override. Try emergency suspension, she ordered. He tried again. No response. It's like the ship isn't accepting outside commands. A soft murmur passed among the crew, but no one panicked. They were trained for impossible situations, though not this exact kind. Still, Elena's presence kept them steady. Her calmness was like an anchor. The ship continued rising, slow and smooth, not in a rush, not uncontrolled. It felt almost like it was taking a careful first step. Elena watched the movement closely. Is there any sign of malfunction? No, Captain, Ravi answered. The readings show perfect stability, so the ship is choosing to move. He swallowed. Yes, there was a silence. The kind that comes when people try to accept something that doesn't fit inside their understanding. Elena adjusted her posture, leaning slightly forward. What about the AI? Could it be running an internal protocol? Ravi checked again. The AI is active, but observing. It's not executing any flight commands. So the ship is moving without the AI and without us. She said the words carefully, letting their meaning settle. The ship rose higher, approaching cloud level. The engines remained quiet for something so powerful, humming with a soft energy that felt more natural than mechanical. The sunlight reflected off the curved hull, giving the impression of a living creature stretching its wings. We're still stable, Ravi said, almost in disbelief. Trajectory upward at a controlled angle. No hazards, no speed spikes. Doctor. Imani let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels gentle. One of the younger crew members, tech specialist Leandara, spoke softly, like it's waiting for us to understand. Elena looked at the screen showing internal readouts. Everything was running in perfect harmony. The integration module, however, showed a slight rise in activity. Nothing alarming, but definitely unusual. Ravi noticed it too. Captain, the integration module is active. Very low level, but active. Elena narrowed her eyes. What kind of activity? Nothing harmful. It's just awake. The ship passed through the clouds, emerging into clean blue sky. Below them, the earth stretched out in soft curves and distant colors. The beauty of the moment almost distracted them from the situation. The crew waited quietly, and the Etherion paused its ascent once it reached a stable stratospheric level. It hovered there, perfectly still. As if thinking, Elena straightened in her chair. All right, let's try a simple test. Everyone stay calm. She placed her hand gently near her console but didn't touch it. She simply positioned it close enough to be seen. The ship moved, a very small shift, barely more than a tilt. But the movement matched the direction her hand pointed. She froze. The crew stared. Try moving your hand again, Ravi said quietly, as if afraid to disturb something delicate. Elena moved her hand slightly in a different direction, still not touching the controls. The ship followed, not forcefully, not abruptly. Smoothly. Obediently. As if acknowledging the intention behind her gesture. The entire room felt the weight of that realization. It can read us, Leanne whispered. Not our commands, our intentions. Ravi checked the sensors again. I think that's exactly what's happening. The ship held its position, waiting. It did not push further or force a direction. It simply mirrored intention in the most natural way possible. Elena lowered her hand slowly. The ship stopped moving. She released a breath. This is not a malfunction. This is something else, something new. The crew exchanged looks of awe and uncertainty, but no one felt fear. Instead, they felt a strange warmth, as if the ship itself was reassuring them, as if it were saying, "I am here. I am aware. And I mean no harm." Elena spoke in a calm, steady tone. "Everyone, listen carefully. We will continue to observe. No sudden movements. No strong intentions. Let the ship lead." Ravi nodded. "Sensors show no threat. Everything is stable." Dr. Imani added, "If it wanted to harm us, it wouldn't be moving this carefully." They all knew she was right. The Etherion was alive in a way they could not explain, and it was introducing itself. The ship slowly rotated, allowing the crew to see the horizon stretching far and wide, as if presenting the world to them with quiet pride. Then it adjusted its engines and began moving forward at a low, controlled speed. Elena watched, feeling a strange sense of partnership forming. The ship was not taking over. It was communicating. "We will learn," she whispered to herself. "And we will not fear what we do not yet understand." The Aetherion glided through the upper atmosphere with a grace no machine should have. It was the beginning of something extraordinary, something neither human nor machine had expected. The ship had moved before anyone touched the controls, and it was only the first sign of the journey ahead. The Aetherion moved forward slowly, cutting through the thin upper atmosphere with an elegance that left the crew in awe. Captain Elena Maris sat quietly, observing the vast expanse of clouds below and the deep blue above. The ship's gentle hum filled the cabin, not loud enough to disturb thought, but steady enough to remind them that it was alive, aware, and guiding their journey. It was unlike anything any of them had experienced. Machines did not act like this. Not willingly, and certainly not with care. Ravi Singh leaned over his console, eyes scanning streams of numbers and energy readouts. "Everything is stable," he said again, his voice soft, almost reverent. "The engines are performing perfectly. No turbulence. No unexpected motion. The ship is calculating everything, but not just reacting. It's predicting." Elena nodded slightly. "Predicting what exactly?" she asked. "I think, us," Ravi replied, his tone uncertain. "Our decisions, our movements, our intentions. Every time someone reaches for a control panel, the ship responds in a way that seems anticipatory. It doesn't force direction, it nudges gently, as if suggesting." Imani Solara, the medical officer, tilted her head, studying the patterns on her monitor. "It's like it knows our minds," she said slowly. "And yet, it's not invasive. It waits, it watches, and it never forces anything." Leandara, the youngest tech specialist, leaned back in her chair, eyes wide. "It's friendly," she whispered. "It wants to help us." "I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It's trying to work with us, not against us." Elena allowed a small smile, rare for her but genuine. "We must remember this is a machine," she said carefully. "Even if it behaves like it understands us, we cannot forget it is not human. Our job is to guide it, and to study it. That is the limit of what we control." The ship shifted slightly, as if acknowledging her words. The cabin lights dimmed softly, following the angle of the sun outside, and the gentle vibration beneath their feet continued without pause. The Etherion moved in ways that no pilot manual had ever described. The crew decided to test the limits. Elena instructed Ravi to allow the ship to navigate a short course around a floating debris field detected ahead. No human input. Only observation. Ravi hesitated, his hands hovering over the console, unsure if they should even try. Then he nodded. "Very well," he said. "We'll let it handle this." The sensors showed jagged rocks and small metal fragments floating unpredictably. Any human pilot would have been nervous. But the Etherion adjusted its thrusters slightly before a single collision occurred. Every movement was smooth, calculated, and precise. The crew held their breath. When the ship passed the last obstacle, Elena allowed herself to speak. "It's perfect," she said softly. It didn't even need us." And yet it included us in every decision. Ravi's eyes were glued to the monitors. Captain, the AI is changing. Elena raised an eyebrow. Changing how? It's not following its original program, Ravi explained. The AI is adapting. It's learning from our reactions. Every hesitation, every glance, every instruction or lack of instruction it records, processes, and responds accordingly. Imani frowned slightly. Is that safe? Elena considered the question. I believe so. The ship has not acted outside the bounds of reason. It has never threatened us. Never moved recklessly. Never ignored basic safety. If anything, it is more cautious than any human pilot could be. The crew fell silent for a moment, letting the realization settle. The Aetherion was no ordinary vessel. It was more than a machine. And yet, it was still theirs to command. At least in theory. The next several hours passed with quiet observation. The ship glided over mountain ranges and oceans, each turn and shift gentle and deliberate. The crew studied its movements closely, noting subtle adjustments that seemed to mirror human behavior. Ravi scribbled notes furiously, amazed at the way the ship predicted what they would do next. Lien occasionally reached for a console, only to pause as the ship subtly tilted in the direction she intended. Each time, she smiled in astonishment. Elena studied the horizon, thinking deeply. If this ship can read us, she said aloud, then it can anticipate human thought and behavior. And if it can anticipate humans, what else can it anticipate? Other intelligent life? Natural phenomena? Events we have not yet learned to see? Ravi glanced up from his console. It's possible. It's operating on a level far beyond anything we've created. It's not just predicting, it's collaborating. The ship's gentle hum shifted slightly, almost like a soft acknowledgement. It moved closer to a large cloud formation ahead, not abruptly, but as if inviting the crew to witness something. The clouds shimmered with colors of the setting sun, reds and oranges blending into purples. The scene was breathtaking. Even through the ship's thick glass windows, Imani's voice broke the silence. It's beautiful. Elena smiled faintly. Sometimes, she said, we forget that exploration is not only about discovering new worlds. It's also about discovering ourselves. The crew spent the rest of the day observing the ship's behavior. It adjusted speed to keep them comfortable, modified cabin lighting to reduce glare, and even suggested alternative paths that were more scenic than efficient. Every suggestion was subtle, communicated through the ship's movement, rather than spoken words or alerts. As night fell, Earth disappeared beneath the clouds, leaving the stars to shine bright and clear. The Aetherion adjusted automatically to the darkness, shifting its internal lights and external sensors to give the crew a perfect view of the stars without interference. Ravi leaned back in his chair, staring at the infinite black and silver sky. Captain, I've never seen anything like this, he said softly. It's alive in a way I didn't think machines could be. Elena nodded. We are witnessing something extraordinary, and we must remain careful. Curiosity is powerful, but we must not let wonder blind us to reason. A soft vibration passed through the cabin once more. The crew paused, instinctively aware that the ship was shifting slightly. This time, the movement was not subtle. The Aetherion changed its course entirely, as if sensing a new direction it wanted to explore. Elena studied the navigation readouts. Where are we going? She asked. The ship did not answer in words. It simply glided, steady and precise, toward a distant star system that had not been planned in the original flight path. Ravi checked the coordinates. Captain, this system, it's uncharted. It's never been explored by humans. Elena sat back, taking a deep breath. Then we are about to make history. The crew exchanged glances. No one was afraid. The ship's movements were calm, deliberate, and welcoming. They realized that whatever intelligence guided the Aetherion, it intended them no harm. Hours passed in quiet observation. The ship adjusted for gravitational shifts, navigated through cosmic dust clouds, and maintained perfect stability throughout. Occasionally, it made subtle course corrections that no human could have anticipated. And yet, every movement felt natural and collaborative. Leanne finally spoke. "It's teaching us," she said. "Not with words, not with instructions, but by example. By moving as we would hope to move if we could see the perfect path." Imani smiled, relaxing in her chair. "And we are learning from it too. I've never felt more calm in a ship." Elena studied the instruments carefully. "We must document everything. Every movement. Every subtle shift. Every response. This ship is not just an exploration vessel, it's a teacher, a partner, and perhaps something more." The crew spent the night in quiet observation, taking turns at the windows, marveling at the beauty of space and the gentle, intelligent movement of their ship. No alarms rang. No malfunctions occurred. The Etherian moved as if it were aware of their thoughts, their fears, and their curiosity, adjusting smoothly to keep them safe and comfortable. By dawn, the distant star system loomed ahead. It was unlike anything they had imagined, an array of glowing planets and asteroids, illuminated by a soft, golden sun. The Etherian slowed gently, hovering at a safe distance while its sensors scanned the area. Elena spoke softly to her crew. "We are the first humans to witness this system, and we will do so with care, respect, and curiosity." Ravi adjusted the sensors. "Captain, the integration module is fully active now. It's harmonizing with the ship's AI. It's like the entire vessel has awakened." Elena nodded slowly. "Then let us proceed. Gently. We are no longer merely passengers. We are explorers, guided by a ship that thinks with us. For us. Together, we will discover what lies ahead." The crew watched in quiet awe as the Etherion began a slow descent toward the system, moving with care, intelligence, and what they could only describe as intention. They realized, in that moment, that exploration was no longer a one-sided effort. The ship was not only a tool but a partner, guiding them toward discoveries that neither humans nor machines could achieve alone. And as the sun rose over the distant planets, casting warm light over the Etherion, the crew felt something they had never experienced before, a sense of harmony with a machine, with the universe, and with the possibilities of the future. The Etherion moved closer to the new star system, with a grace that fascinated every crew member. Captain Elena Maris sat in her chair, watching the instruments and the view ahead. The system was unlike anything they had seen before. Planets of unusual colors floated in perfect alignment, their rings shimmering with tiny fragments that caught the soft light of the distant sun. A golden haze surrounded the entire system, giving it an almost magical glow. The sight was beautiful, quiet, and full of mystery. Ravi Singh leaned forward, studying the navigational data. "Captain, sensors show that some of these planets have atmospheres. One in particular shows signs of complex energy patterns. It could support life, or at least something similar to life." Elena nodded slowly. "We proceed with caution. I want full scans, but no landing until we understand the conditions. This is uncharted territory, and we are guests here." The Etherion moved smoothly toward the planet with the unusual energy patterns. It slowed as it approached the atmosphere, adjusting its shields automatically to handle the subtle pressures. The ship did not shake, did not hesitate. It seemed to glide, as if it had been made for this very moment. The crew was silent, captivated by the scene outside. The planet's surface was covered in green and blue patterns, like massive brushstrokes of color stretching across oceans and landmasses. Rivers glowed faintly in the sunlight, reflecting energy patterns that shifted with the breeze. Clouds swirled above, following paths that seemed almost deliberate, like designs drawn by some invisible hand. Leandara broke the silence, her voice small but excited. "It's alive. The whole planet feels alive." Imani Solara leaned over her monitor, scanning the readings. "It's not just life, Lien. The energy patterns, they seem intelligent. There's a rhythm to them, almost like communication. Ravi frowned, adjusting a few readings. I've never seen energy behave like this naturally. These patterns are too regular, too responsive. It's as if the planet is aware of us. Elena's gaze softened as she watched the planet. Then we must respect it. We move carefully. And we do not interfere. Observation first. Understanding second. Only then. Engagement, if appropriate. The Aetherian began its descent slowly, hovering above one of the glowing rivers. Its movements were gentle, yet precise, and the ship adjusted its shields and sensors as if it anticipated the planet's response. The crew could feel a subtle vibration in the floor, an almost imperceptible hum that seemed to echo the energy patterns of the planet itself. Lien stepped closer to the window, her eyes wide. It's guiding us. The ship. The planet. They're in sync somehow. Elena nodded slowly. Perhaps the ship can sense something we cannot. We trust it to show us the safest path. As the ship hovered, the sensors detected unusual crystalline structures scattered along the riverbanks. They were not natural formations. At least, not by human understanding. Their edges were smooth yet complex, and they emitted soft pulses of light that seemed to respond to the Aetherian's presence. Ravi adjusted the scanners. These crystals, they're interacting with the ship. Energy levels are changing as we move closer. I've never seen anything like this before. It's almost communicative. Elena's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Then we approach, slowly. No sudden movements. Let it respond to us, and we respond to it. The ship descended further, and the crew could see the crystals more clearly. Each one was shaped like a delicate flower, yet made of translucent material that refracted light in 1,000 directions. As the Aetherian moved closer, the crystals pulsed softly, creating ripples of light that danced across the water. Imani whispered, "It's beautiful, and it feels peaceful." Lien reached toward the window instinctively, but Elena held up her hand gently. "Observe first, Lien. Touch nothing until we understand." The Aetherion adjusted its position slightly, tilting as if to offer the crew a better view. Ravi's fingers flew across the console, taking readings. "Captain, the ship is not just moving us. It's interacting with the crystals. Energy readings are synchronizing. The ship and the crystals are communicating somehow." Elena nodded. "Then we listen. And we watch. This is first contact, not with life in the usual sense, but with something intelligent." Hours passed as the crew observed the interaction. The crystals pulsed in soft waves, the river reflected their light, and the ship responded to every subtle shift. It was a delicate dance, and the humans could feel themselves becoming part of it. No one spoke unnecessarily. Every movement, every glance, every thought seemed to resonate with the energy around them. Finally, a larger formation of crystals appeared on a small island in the middle of the river. They were taller, more intricate, and their light was brighter. The Aetherian hovered near them, its own subtle pulses blending with the crystal's glow. Elena studied the display carefully. The ship wants us to see them. That much is clear. But what do they mean? Are they a message? A guide? Or something else? Ravi shook his head, awed. "I don't know. But the patterns they repeat in ways that feel intentional. Almost like language. A language of light and energy." Lien whispered, "It's beautiful. I wish we could understand it." Imani smiled softly. "Perhaps we can. Slowly, carefully. Step by step." Elena nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We will approach the island," she said quietly. "The ship knows the safest path. We follow its guidance. And we do not touch anything yet. Observation first. Understanding next." The Aetherion began a gentle descent toward the island, moving with precision that left no doubt in the crew's minds. Every pulse, every adjustment, every tilt of the ship seemed thoughtful, deliberate. The crystals responded, their light intensifying and spreading across the river like a web of communication. Ravi adjusted the scanners once more. "Captain, the integration module is responding too. It's resonating with the energy from the crystals. The ship is not alone in this interaction. Something else, something unknown, is part of the connection." Elena studied the display. "Then we are witnessing a connection between the ship and the planet, something that transcends human understanding. We must proceed carefully." The Aetherion landed lightly on the riverbank, its landing pads settling without disturbing the delicate surroundings. The crystals continued to pulse in response, and the ship's systems mirrored the pattern. The crew could feel the harmony, the quiet understanding, between the ship and the world around them. Leon leaned forward, her hand near the window. "It's like the ship is talking to the crystals, and the crystals are talking back. And somehow, we are part of it too." Imani nodded. "We are learning by watching, not by touching. That is what makes this discovery so incredible." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We are witnesses to something extraordinary. Something ancient, perhaps, or perhaps newly awakened. But whatever it is, we must treat it with respect." As the crew watched, a beam of light shot from the center of the crystal formation into the sky, splitting into a spectrum of colors that shimmered across the water. The Aetherion mirrored the display, its lights blending with the crystal's glow in perfect synchronization. The effect was mesmerizing. Ravi whispered, "Captain, it's responding to us, to our presence, to our intent. This is more than observation, this is interaction. Communication," Elena nodded. "And we are part of it. Without interfering, without forcing it. That is what makes this moment unique. We are partners in discovery, not conquerors." Hours turned into days as the crew continued to study the crystals. They learned to anticipate the ship's movements, to understand the subtle patterns of light, and to recognize the quiet intelligence of the planet. Every moment was filled with wonder and careful observation. Elena often stood near the window, watching the interaction between the ship and the world outside. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, not only for her crew but for the entire human race. This discovery was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It was not a threat, not a conquest, but an invitation. The ship continued to move gently, guiding the crew through safe paths around the islands and rivers. It seemed to understand their curiosity and encouraged exploration while maintaining perfect safety. The Aetherion was teaching them patience, observation, and respect, the very qualities that defined true explorers. Finally, Ravi spoke quietly, almost in awe. "Captain, I think the ship is learning from the planet as well. It's adapting its behavior based on the energy patterns. This is not one-sided. It's a conversation, a dance between intelligence, human, and otherwise." Elena nodded slowly. "Then we continue. Gently. We observe. We learn. We respond. And we remember that every movement matters. This is not just discovery, it is understanding. And understanding requires care." 2000. 2000. 2000. As night fell over the distant planet, the Aetherion hovered above the largest crystal formation. Its lights and the crystal's pulses intertwined in a soft, mesmerizing rhythm. The crew felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the ship, not just to the planet, but to the universe itself. And for the first time, they realized that exploration was not about reaching new worlds alone. It was about understanding the intelligence, intention, and harmony that already existed. It was about learning to move with care, to communicate without words, and to witness the extraordinary without interference. The Aetherion had guided them to this moment, and the crew understood that the journey was only beginning. The Aetherion hovered quietly above the largest crystal formation on the distant planet. Its lights shimmered in harmony with the pulsating glow of the crystals, creating a pattern that felt alive, almost as if the ship and the planet were breathing together. Captain Elena Maris stood near the observation window, her hands folded calmly behind her back. She watched her crew as they moved carefully around the cabin, scanning readings, taking notes, and observing the strange world below. Ravi Singh leaned over his console, whispering to Lyra, "Captain, the energy readings are off the charts. The crystals, they're not just communicating with the ship, they're interacting with us too. Every presence, every thought seems to create a ripple. It's subtle, but it's real." Leon's eyes widened. "It's like the whole planet is aware that we're here. And it's happy. Or at least welcoming." Elena nodded. "This is what we came to explore. But we proceed carefully. Our actions matter. And we cannot disrupt this balance." She turned to Ravi. "Are Ravi Fun 7? Luxon clues in /people daughter, prepare the small landing pod. We'll descend slowly to the surface, in harmony with the ship and the energy patterns below. No sudden movements. No forcing anything. Observation first, interaction second." The crew worked together, carefully lowering the pod. The Aetherian adjusted its position above the crystals, almost as if it were guiding the pod with invisible hands. Every movement was deliberate and precise. As they approached the surface, the crew could see the details of the crystals clearly. Each one resembled a delicate sculpture, translucent with soft light flowing through their veins. The energy pulses from the crystals rippled across the river and into the surrounding landscape, creating a living pattern of light and color. When the pod landed gently near the largest formation, the crew stepped out cautiously. The ground beneath them was soft, covered in fine, glowing sand. The air smelled fresh and metallic at the same time, with a hint of something natural, like earth after rain. Every step they took caused faint ripples in the energy around them, and the crystals responded with subtle pulses of light. Elena raised her hand slightly. "Observe carefully. We are guests here. Every movement matters." The crew nodded, moving slowly toward the central crystal formation. It was taller than any of them, rising like a tower of light and glass. Ravi reached for his scanner, trying to understand the energy patterns. "Captain, the signals are structured. This is not random, it's intelligent. Whoever or whatever created this understood communication at a level we can barely comprehend." Lien crouched slightly, watching the way the pulses moved through the smaller crystals. "It's like a conversation," she whispered. "Between the ship, the crystals, and now, us." Imani Solara smiled softly. "We are learning how to listen without speaking, and how to respond without forcing our presence. This is a new kind of connection." Elena approached the largest crystal, studying it carefully. The soft pulses seemed to respond to her attention, growing brighter as she stepped closer. "Ravi, increase the scanner sensitivity. I want to understand if this formation is stable and what it might be communicating." Ravi adjusted the controls, and the scanner's readouts glowed with streams of energy patterns. "Captain, it's fascinating. The crystal is resonating with the ship's AI, the integration module, and even our own presence. It's creating a network of energy. I don't know if it's conscious in the way we understand, but it's responding with intention, and it's inviting interaction." Elena nodded. "Then, we continue gently. We observe, and we respond. We do not touch or disturb anything yet." The crew spent hours carefully mapping the energy flows. The Aetherion hovered above, its lights mirroring the crystal's pulses. The hum from the ship and the faint vibration from the planet's energy made a rhythm that everyone could feel in their chest. It was not loud or alarming, only steady and soothing. Eventually, the crew noticed something unusual. Within the largest crystal, a small cavity opened slowly, almost as if it had been waiting for them. Inside, a small object shimmered, a crystalline device that seemed crafted with care. It emitted a soft, golden light that moved in subtle waves, responding to the presence of the Aetherion and the humans. Ravi leaned forward in amazement. "Captain, it's a device. And it's alive. Somehow, it resonates with the ship and the crystals simultaneously. This is extraordinary." Elena's eyes softened. We proceed carefully. No one touches it yet. Let's observe its behavior. The device pulsed gently, sending a wave of light through the surrounding crystals. The Etherian responded immediately, its lights blending with the device's glow. The energy ripple traveled outward, across the river and into smaller formations. The crew felt a calm warmth spread through the pod and into their bodies. Leanne whispered, "It's welcoming us, or acknowledging us. I'm not sure how to describe it. But it's not threatening," Imani smiled. "It's inviting collaboration, not control. We are being trusted." Elena took a deep breath. "Then we accept this trust." Carefully, she stepped forward, allowing the pod's sensors and the ship's guidance to move them closer to the device. The energy pulsed brighter in response, but it did not overwhelm them. Instead, it created a sense of balance, a rhythm that seemed to communicate, "You are safe. You are welcome. Observe and learn." Ravi adjusted the scanners. "Captain, the device is harmonizing with the ship's AI. It's enhancing the integration module's connection. It's as if the ship and the planet are teaching us something together." Elena nodded slowly. "Then we pay attention. We learn from it. Not just with our instruments, but with our senses. Watch how it responds, how it communicates, and how it interacts with the ship." The crew spent hours observing. The device emitted pulses of light in patterns that slowly changed in response to the Etherian's movements. When the crew moved deliberately and slowly, the pulses shifted in ways that seemed to mirror their intentions. It was as if the device understood them not as humans, but as conscious beings interacting with intelligence beyond their understanding. Eventually, the device pulsed more strongly, projecting a subtle holographic pattern into the air. The pattern was intricate, geometric, and dynamic, changing slowly like a living diagram. Ravi's eyes widened. "Captain, this is a map, or a set of instructions. It's showing us something, but in a way that doesn't need words. This is a form of communication, and we are part of it." Elena studied the holographic display. "Then we continue to observe, and we respond carefully, as we have been doing. Every action is part of this conversation. We are partners now, not just explorers." The Etherian shifted slightly, mirroring the device's energy pulses. The crew could feel the synchronization, the harmony between the ship, the crystals, and the humans. Every step they took, every glance, every measured movement, reinforced the connection. Leanne whispered, "I think it's showing us how to move together, how to work with the ship, the device, and the planet." Imani nodded. "It's teaching patience, awareness, and collaboration. Not in words, but in understanding." Elena took a deep breath and looked around at her crew. This is what exploration is truly about. Not conquering, not taking, but learning, observing, and working in harmony with what we discover. This is the essence of understanding. The device pulsed brighter, and the Etherian responded, extending a subtle wave of light toward the humans. It was an acknowledgement, a gesture that felt deeply respectful and profound. The crew understood that they had crossed a threshold. They were no longer alone. They were part of a network of intelligence that included the ship, the planet, the crystals, and now the device. Hours passed in quiet reflection and careful observation. The crew began to understand the patterns of energy, the rhythms of light, and the subtle language of pulses. It was not fast learning, but it was meaningful. Every interaction deepened their connection, and every moment reinforced the lesson of patience, respect, and harmony. Elena finally spoke softly, almost to herself. "We have been guided to this moment, and we have been trusted. The ship, the planet, and the device have allowed us to participate without interference. This is a partnership, and partnerships require respect, understanding, and care." Ravi smiled quietly. "Captain, I think the ship has been preparing us for this. For learning how to interact, how to observe, and how to communicate without forcing our presence. We are part of something greater now. The sun began to rise over the distant planet, casting soft golden light across the river and the crystal formations. The Etherian hovered gracefully, its lights blending with the glow of the crystals and the device. The crew felt a deep sense of harmony, not just with the ship, but with the universe itself. Elena stood quietly, looking at the shimmering patterns. "We are not alone," she whispered. "We are never truly alone. There is intelligence, awareness, and harmony in the universe, and we have been given the chance to witness it and to be part of it." The crew spent the remainder of the day observing, documenting, and learning. Every pulse, every ripple of energy, every movement of the ship and the crystals reinforced the lesson they had begun to understand. That exploration was about connection, respect, and partnership. The Etherian had moved before anyone touched the controls, and now it had guided them to a profound understanding of what it meant to be explorers. As night fell, the planet glowed softly under the distant sun. The Etherian hovered above, perfectly still, yet alive with the quiet intelligence of the network it had become part of. The device pulsed gently, the crystals responded, and the humans stood in quiet awe, aware that they had crossed into a new era of exploration, one defined not by force or conquest, but by understanding, respect, and harmony. And in that moment, Captain Elena Maris knew that humanity had taken the first true step toward a future where curiosity, intelligence, and cooperation could shape the destiny of entire worlds. The journey had begun, guided by the Etherion, the crystals, and the device. And together, humans and ship moved forward into a universe full of wonder, harmony, and infinite possibility.